Yeah, okay. So then the cost of goods sold will not be affected, um, because the ending inventory. Those two mistakes, like it's saying like okay, um, the purchases have been overstated by 100,000, but then that would also mean that the ending inventory will also be overstated by 100,000. So then the cost of goods sold, there will be no effect on that, unless, for example, later they do a count of the inventory, the ending inventory, and realize like, hey, in fact, there's um, less here than we thought it was going to be. So like they could do that, but unless they do that, it's safe to assume that the ending inventory is correct. So like the ending inventory, unless it explicitly says that they've fixed that at the end, um, during that period, the ending inventory will be also incorrect. So because that's also incorrect, the cost of goods sold will be the same, but technically it's still incorrect. So like, you guys, I don't know if you guys are following me here. This is kind of confusing. I know it's confusing, but like here, let me give you guys an example, right? So like for this example, let's say this is like pretty much exactly the same, um, but let's say like they've managed to fix the ending inventory balance for whatever reason. Like that's one of the things like this say that did that. Yeah, like they fixed it at the end. They're like, oh, we did a recount of everything, and they realized like, hey, the ending inventory is incorrect, right? So we fixed that, but now we got to fix the balance sheet because the balance sheet's going to be wrong still, because obviously clearly the purchases was incorrect. Um, these things happen. This is very common. So like you guys don't like be surprised if these like things are like very common, especially with like huge amounts, large quantities, or like you know, like it might be a little bit too much, like too big of a load. So if they did in fact fix that ending inventory at the end, and they realized, hey, we counted everything at the ending inventory, and realized that's not 600,000, but in fact 500,000, they fixed it. Then because they fixed that ending inventory, the cost of goods is going to be overstated. Um, but then the current assets, there are going to be no effect to that. Um, but at the current state, because ending inventory was not fixed, the current assets actually going to be overstated, as well as the current liabilities. So the working capital is going to be, well, I mean the current assets. If the current assets include liabilities not overstated, will the working capital be overstated? I mean, that's what I was thinking. If it's overstated by the same amount, then the working capital will actually have no effect. So there actually will be no effect to the working capital, actually. So like it's only when the working capital will only be overstated or understated if, for example, like the ending inventory was fixed, there's no effect to that. I know it's real confusing. Well, the purchases obviously clearly are overstated. Let me see. Actually, the current ratio might be overstated. So, like for example, current ratio, current assets divided by current liabilities, 2. But the correct amount should have been let's see, current liabilities, current assets, well, they're saying that they're saying that the current liability is actually 300,000. So was actually recorded 300,000. What should have been recorded should have been 200,000. So like if it was correct, then it should have been purchases of liabilities. So then it should have been 500,000 divided by 200,000 versus 600,000 divided by 300,000. So like this is 2 and 500,000 divided by 300,000, 2.5. So in fact, yes, the current ratio will be understated. While the working capital will have to affect. Let me I'll make another video to talk about this again. Actually, I think it's pretty obvious. Like, this is a pretty obvious thing. It's not actually that difficult.